Hello and welcome back. Oh, big stretch at the start of this. Oh, big stretch. All right, and now we're into it. So, welcome on back to the project. This is still the DieselPunk project for this week. Next week we'll be going back to doing the balance project, where I will be doing some more Greyboxing in that one and Greyboxing in this one. Greyboxing is what this video is about. It's a thing that I don't think a lot of people know about, that game designers and environment artists and just game makers really do a lot. It's not something that's obviously advertised a lot, but it's seen quite often when you see like breakdowns, even in the film industry for CGI movies. You see grayboxing happening in those breakdown scenes of like how they built the Avatar scene or how they did the Mandalorian scene. They show like this gray layer of all the shapes and objects, and then they show this beautiful texturing to them. They like kind of hint to grayboxing there, and then they don't really show anything else. They just get straight to what the people want, which is the pretty colors. Of course, everybody likes pretty colors. I like pretty colors. Look at this. Look at this. This is pretty colors. I like pretty colors. But no, so grayboxing is a very important step. It's so you can't be an artist who creates 3D models without doing concepting. And you have to concept out what you're going to make. You have to visually find references of it. You have to visually think it out, look into what you're wanting to do and how you're doing it. Like for the DieselPunk project, when I was creating those ships, I looked into DieselPunk culture. I looked into what it's about, what era it's from, and the fashion for clothes, for vehicles, for everything and anything. I looked into it, and I saved images of it, and I recorded it, and then I went into designing the ships with the idea that, okay, so DieselPunk is all about that diesel fuel engine. It's all about that rough carbonated sound and all these things that you remember from the roaring 20s when you were watching like Great Gatsby growing up, or when you were reading about it or seeing war movies talk about World War I and World War II and about the use of planes in Pearl Harbor and blah, blah, blah. You start to think, okay, so that's what DieselPunk is. That's the sound I hear. That's the look I see, but I'm going to adjust it ever so slightly to be a little bit more fantasy and more fantastical and blah, blah, blah. That's what you have to do. You have to concept. You have to visualize it first before you can make it. If you don't visualize it first, you'll never be able to make it. That's a very good thing to think about for the rest of your life, too. If you don't visualize what you're wanting to do and you don't take the time to take the notes, to get the learning, to do this and that, you're never going to be able to achieve what you want to do because you've never built yourself up to that moment. You have to build yourself in life to achieve your goals. You can't just go straight into getting your goals. You can't expect yourself just to go from A to Z without traveling through the rest of the alphabet. It's just not how it works. So that's what concepting is for a lot of games, and that's what grayboxing is. Grayboxing is conceptualizing the level that the player is going to be in. So for the first level of the DieselPunk project, it is a battlefield. It is trench. It is flying over trench warfare, mortar impacts, roadblocks. I think they're called roadblocks. They're the steel beams that are in kind of like a oh god, what's that old game that you would play with marbles? Tic-tac-toe and marbles, or tacks and marbles? It looks like a little tiny tack. I can't remember that game that I played when I was a kid. But that cross beam roadblock that you see in like Saving Private Ryan and a lot of World War I and World War II movies and video games, I think they're just called roadblocks because they're just designed to block heavily armored vehicles from destroying the front lines. So it's just a simple battlefield. I don't have a landscape yet because I'm only grayboxing this out. Grayboxing, in its simplest definition, is conceptualizing a level using only primitive shapes. Primitive shapes being squares, circles, spheres, rectangles, cones, blah, blah, blah. Simple geometry, nothing complex. And so that's why the ground is just this giant gray cube or rectangle. It's a rectangular plane. And then you have all these other areas like these little half circles are mortar impact sites. So kind of a nice idea to think, how big can I make these mortar impact sites? How much can I cover? Does it even look good? Does it feel right? And then I also have these trench lines and the fence lines and the little tiny roadblocks that are just cones, and I have all that out here, and it's me trying to figure out, what do I want the game to look like? How am I going to simulate a battlefield? How am I going to represent that this is an active battlefield? And multiple different things. And this is what a lot of designers and artists do when they're creating video games or movies, is they have to first graybox it out, and they're going to start building upon the grayboxing. So that's why you'll never see the primitive shapes when they're showcasing the movie or TV show or video game. You're never going to see these primitive shapes all over the place. You're going to see the final shapes put into that place, and the nice smooth gray geometry that looks really cool when it gets its texture slapped on it. That's what you're going to see. You're going to see that step. You're never going to see this step, hardly. The only time I've seen this step was actually when looking into the development of Naughty Dog's Uncharted 4? Yeah, Uncharted 4, and just the Uncharted series. I've seen Naughty Dog showcase their grayboxing in the Uncharted and Last of Us series, where they actually show how they were building their environments and conceptualizing them out, doing the concept artwork on top of the 3D models, and all sorts of things like that. And since this project is just me, I don't need to do too much conceptualizing because I have a lot of notes just scattered all over the place in a notebook, on a notepad, or on a Google Doc, and all sorts of other places. So it's mainly more up to helping me better create the world and create the world more efficiently and in an easier, organized fashion. So, autosaving, Unreal, thank you. And by the way, this is the Unreal Engine that I'm making the game in. Like I said, I'm making the Balance project in the Unreal Engine as well. The Unreal Engine is just nice to use for grayboxing out a level and for just designing games, in my opinion, because it allows me, an artist, to be able to program a lot more, not easily, because it still takes me a lot of time. It just makes it easier for me to understand the programming language, because when I started out, I went to a community college and I took programming classes and art classes. And I looked at both of them. Programming gave me a headache. Art classes gave me a headache, but I enjoyed the headache. So I'm going to become a game artist, not a programmer, because that headache I just couldn't stand. But here I am, still needing to program a game because I'm the only one doing it right now. And I don't have anybody else because I don't have money to pay them, or I want to learn it myself. I want to get better at some things too. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just constantly flying through this just to see if it makes sense to me, if it's going to work out just fine. Like the idea that I had in my mind that I wrote on paper and placed out and started modeling, does it still work? And I feel like it does, because you have definitely the idea of this is a losing side over here because their roadblocks are all scattered around. They've got tons of mortar shelling on them, and it gets lighter and lighter as you get over here because this is the winning side. They aren't getting shelled that often because they have, what I'm trying to showcase is that they have more air superiority, and you, the player, are going to help punch a hole through their field of warfare, or punch a hole through the air ranks to allow the troops on the ground to push forward without any issues from the air and sky. And I think that'll be a very fun story, and it'll be a very compelling story. As well, you may think this is the lit version of the game. This is not the lit version of the game. This is the unlit version of the game, because that sky, that sun is very pretty. This is the lit version of the game. This is what the game's actually going to look like in this battlefield. I wanted this red glow to the entire sky. Thank you to the guy who made the Good Sky blueprinting. I'll try and link this down in my video below, because this sky is way better than the Unreal Engine's default skybox. The Unreal Engine's default skybox is just not as powerful. It doesn't look as pretty as this. In this one, I was able to make even prettier with some amplifying LUTs. LUTs are just your post-processing effects. It's the filter to the game. It's the filter to make it look a certain way, to boost colors here or there, or to make it look like a LA Noir scene or a Sin City black and white with the bright reds kind of deal. LUTs allow you to do that. It's just this simple color gradient that you can go into Photoshop and mess around with that color gradient, and then put it into the game engine or Cinema 4D or After Effects or Premiere, all those video editing softwares, and you can get these nice visual effects to the camera. And so with this one, I wanted that nice bright red sky, because when you think about when there's a fire, and this is part of the concepting, I needed to figure out the coloring, I needed to figure out my lighting. So I needed to figure out, what does some battlefields look like? What does it look like when there is a lot of smoke in the sky? And luckily, I live in Colorado, and we've got like 5 fires going on, or I think 1 now. But I get the sunset up every morning and every night, and I can see the sunset and sunrise, and I can see the bright orange-red glow that the sky gets when there's a big fire, and the brightness of the sun too. The sun gets way brighter when there's a fire like that. And so now I was able to go through and actually visually look at this in the game and create my own version of it, my own style to it that would fit within the artwork and the stylization that I'm doing for this project. So now I can also look and make sure that, okay, yes, this would look just fine. The orange glow that I'm getting off the bright whites is going to look really nice, and these fades to the dark shadows is just, it's making me gush. It's making me gush with excitement to actually get some live, fully renderable models that are going to look way better. Plus, I can also go in and just see how the Unreal guy kind of looks in this. He's kind of the reference that I use quite often, and he's going to look just fine. The shattering that I have on him is going to look great on the ships that I have. And what else is there? I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'm forgetting to say about Greyboxing or conceptualizing out an idea, but I don't believe so. So if anybody else is designing video games themselves, I'll definitely try and find a way to link this blueprint that I found in the description below. I'm pretty sure I got it for free. If it was free for a limited time, I'm sure it was no more than like 15-20 bucks. So if you want a really good blueprint for your sky that you can use, this one was really useful. I might even try to edit this one a little bit more and make it more of my own, because there are still some things that I would like to do with it, but maybe I'm just not fiddling enough with the parameters that the person originally put into this. But it's an amazing blueprint, and it really helps me out to speed through my process since I don't know that much programming. And another thing that's great about Unreal is there are free things that I can use to help boost the content in my game and help increase the quality that I may not know how to do that, but there was this free thing out there for me to use to increase the game's content. So great things. This is going along just smoothly. So I'm excited with this. As always, guys, please like and comment and subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me on Facebook where you'll get updated to when videos are posted to my YouTube channel. So with that said, next time we'll be here doing some Greyboxing in the Balance project, doing the complete level in Greyboxing because I really want to see how the complete level looks like all the way to that point where I'm still working in. So stick around, stay tuned, and I will see you guys next time. All right, good video. I like that. That was a good video. Good. Let